On a busy clinic day, while seeing my patient, I suddenly discovered my new cell phone was missing. I was helpless for some time being, but immediately after that, the thought came to my mind was, oh my God, I may lose all sorts of information, important contacts, thousands of pictures, my schedule in calendar, and so on. And as I never log out of any of my apps, I apprehended that my Facebook and email ID could be hacked and my privacy was going to be seriously jeopardized. Along with this, I would have to go through another hazards in terms of time, money, and convenience to buy a new cell phone and get my life back on track. And all this thought made me feel threatened to my well-being. I felt that my whole body was perspiring, my heart was beating fast, and my mind was clouded and was just unable to think what to do and how to solve the problem. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to talk on stress, the term probably familiar to everyone here as it is our day-to-day experience. And as this day-to-day experience takes toll of both of our physical and mental well-being, managing stress is our everyone's priority. So better understanding of stress component and its dynamic will enable us to handle it in a better way. So my recent experience of a loss of cell phone was a clear-cut stressful situation for me. Here, the loss of cell phone is termed as a stressor. The way I interpreted the event, that is the immediate thought came to my mind, stress appraisal, and all the psychological and the physiological reactions took place in my mind and body are stress reaction. So in any stress dynamics, these three components, that is the stressor, appraisal, and reaction, are the key players that produce stress on us. So what are our stressors? In our everyday life, we go through sequence of events and circumstances. So any situation or event can be stressful that an individual perceives as threatening that taxes one's ability to cope. So, for instance, it can be loss of mobile, breakup, delivering a speech, unhappy marriage, stuck in traffic jam, even our first date, and so on. And stress reaction are the biological responses that are happening in our body and mind when our brain exposes itself towards a stressor and feel challenged. So, due to the flight and fight responses, our brain mobilizes some neurochemicals, that is the epinephrine, norepinephrine, and sometimes cortisol, which are responsible for all the biological reactions in our body. So regarding the psychological disruption, we either experience anxiety or depression. So we feel anxious in the form of irritability, restlessness, apprehension, anger, and so on when we anticipate to encounter a challenging event like upcoming exam, delivering a speech, waiting for doctor's reports, and so on. Whereas the depression is manifested itself in the form of unhappiness and hopelessness, which is usually associated with the events that have already been happened and involves loss or separation, like a breakup, poor result in exam, diagnosis of serious illness, and so on. So other than this emotional disruption, stress also affects our cognitive function. That is, our ability to think something clearly in a logical and organized way, which ultimately affects our problem-solving capacity. And it is a very common experience for our students that sometimes you don't find a simple solution of a problem, of a question in exam hall. But just after coming out of the hall, the answer readily clicks to your mind. And same thing happens when we find ourselves in a severe argument when we don't find appropriate response and word and stammer with anger. But just after the end of it, the right response becomes so apparent. Another response of stress is it decreases our ability to concentrate. Actually, what happens that when we are passing through a critical time, various negative thoughts and feelings actually occupy our mind, which constantly distract and interfere our ability to focus to a particular event. Due to this fragmented concentration, the stimuli we like to expose ourselves, like reading a book or listening a speech, are not fully registered in our memory system. So later on, it becomes difficult for us what we have read or listened. So forgetfulness is another very common stress reaction. So it is usually advised not to take any important decision when you are passing hard time, because appropriate decision making process requires organized and the logical way of thinking and full functioning memory system. So other than this emotional and the cognitive disruption, our bodies sometimes tell us loudly that we are in very hard time. Because of the mobilization of neurochemicals that I have already mentioned, epinephrine and norepinephrine, they can affect any of our organ system, which ultimately disrupt the normal physiological functioning. So it is a very common experience for us that when we are in difficult time, we are experiencing very sort of the physical symptom like dryness of mouth, increased heartbeat, chest pain, loose motion, constipation, abdominal discomfort, or any bodily symptom. However, regarding this stress reaction, whatever it is, anxiety, depression, or any bodily symptoms, they are clearly uncomfortable and unwanted. But interesting fact that these unwanted experiences do a great things for us. They actually act as signal and tells us that one's important needs are not being met and one's ability to cope with the situation is getting compromised. So this feeling actually gives us opportunity to find out the reason of a distress and take a step to correct them. So your bad mood for the poor score in last semester may tell you that you have to work hard if you do really want to do well in future, or your constant worry and restlessness regarding your relationship may warn you there is something very wrong in your relationship and you need to talk to your partner. However, other than this physiological and the psychological reaction, there are some unwanted behavioral responses that many of us adopt when we are in a hard time. And we all know that when an assignment knocks our door or when we experience any loss, despite confronting the challenges, many of us love to engage ourselves excessively in some pleasurable activities like Facebooking, gaming, shopping, chatting, and eating too much food or sleeping. But why we do such behavior? Actually, what happens that when we are passing through critical time or dealing with some difficult situation, for instance, taking a preparation for upcoming exam or assignment, we are internally threatened with various challenges, like whether we can complete the preparation or get enough score, or if not, what will happen, and so on. So, to defend ourselves from this uncomfortable feeling of threatening thought, our brain adopts some wrong strategy. The strategies are wrong because keeping us away from all these challenges, though this behavior gives us brief pleasure and keep us away from the distress and anxiety, in long term, our situation gets more complicated. In the same way, smoking, abusing sedative, even extramarital relationship are sometimes the wrong strategy many of us adopt to get away from stress and anxiety and escape from a challenging situation. But remember one thing, escaping from a situation or its avoidance can never be a solution. So confront the challenge. Ask your partner if he or he is avoiding you. Go to your doctor if you feel lump in your body. Start taking preparation. Yes, you may face some undesired consequences, like your partner may say that the reason of his or her avoidance is he or she fell for another person. Your doctor may diagnose your lump as malignant. But first, accept the fact. Your acceptance will make you calm and help you to prepare yourself to confront the reality, which is the first step to resolve the problem. Then, share your thought and distress to your friends and other persons. Talking to your friends not only release your anxiety and distress, it also gives you the individual information and practical problem solving guideline. Besides, what happens when we are in difficult time, stress actually feel us victimized and lower our self-esteem. So social support in the form of care, nurturance, love actually help to restore your self-esteem and feel your worth loving. And these all together help you tremendously to cope with any adversity and heal your wound. Other than this, a simple tip to reduce your anxiety or reduce your stress is regular half-an-hour exercise or brisk walk or any relaxation activity. But interesting fact that both in stress and exercise, our body responds in a similar manner by mobilization of the same neurochemical of epinephrine and norepinephrine that I have already mentioned, for which our body responds in identical manner of increased heartbeat and sweating. But the difference is, according to the Canon's classical theory, is whereas the stress-induced arousal has no adaptive function, but exercise-induced arousal is highly adaptive as it supports vigorous muscle activity. Actually, what happens in stress, there is a spontaneous mobilization of neurotransmitter or neurochemicals for which the spontaneous stress reaction happens, for which we have no control over. But in exercise, a person can decide when to increase his or her activities and to increase the release of neurochemicals and when to relax. So this voluntary nature of exercise provides us a sense of control and mastery. So in any stress dynamics, these three components, that is the stressor, appraisal, and stress reaction, the key determinant that produces stress on us is individual appraisal. So talking among hundreds of people in the TED Talk IUT could be pretty challenging or absolutely benign for me, which depends on my perception. If I appraise that this event is a very important part of my life, which challenges me to maintain my reputation as a good speaker, it could be very stressful. But then I should evaluate my ability to meet the challenge. If I appraise that I have enough knowledge on this topic and have enough confidence as a speaker, the situation will be less stressful. But if I think that I am not competent enough to meet the demand of the audience, this event will produce huge stress reaction. So stress reaction sometimes is part of our inability to cope with the situation. So improving coping skill, like gaining information of the event, physical setting, type of audience, their demand, and taking preparation accordingly will help us to decrease the discrepancy between the demand and ability of any stressful situation. So if talking in this event will be stressful for me due to my perception that failure in this event may destroy all my reputation, I should evaluate and I should re-examine my situation and weigh the evidence against my initial perception. First, I need to accept that, yes, this time I may not satisfy my audience, but then I should reassure myself that I have other success stories as a speaker in past and all other achievement as well. So one single event is very unlikely to destroy all my past achievement and other strength. So I should also evaluate that if I am I have not such a past good success stories as a speaker, it actually doesn't matter much. I may not be a good speaker, but I have other qualities. I am a good psychiatrist, good cook, good human being, good friend, and other qualities like honesty, sincerity, and so on. So focusing on my strength will help to restore my self-esteem and feel me less low. Besides, taking this event as unsatisfactory speech, a very negative one, I can reappraise the situation and take the event as an opportunity to expose myself to talk completely in a different environment, which increased my abilities as a speaker by mastering its challenge. So it is interesting that in most cases, our thought, are the primary determinant that whether a situation will be stressful for us or not. So the key strategy to reduce your stress is change your thought process. Ladies and gentlemen, life is just like a rhythm, and we all know that it has so many ups and downs. Sometimes it may numb you by its extreme cruelty. Sometimes it seems wonderfully blissful. At times, you may feel that life is so harsh to you and definitely you don't deserve such pain. At times, you may wonder to yourself and may ask, am I worth of all such fortune? But remember one thing, life is playfully unpredictable. Nothing in life is permanent. So no distress, no pain, no joy, no delight, nothing is permanent. But everything happens for our best interest. Because we grow through our experiences, we grow through mustering each challenge. So it doesn't matter much whether an event meets your expectation or not, or whether it seems apparently undesirable. Because every event, every challenge we encounter in our life opens a new window for us, which helps us to develop our skill and abilities that ultimately make us better human beings. Thank you very much.